Okay, so this was not the content that I planned to have today once again because again I am just I'm behind on the arcs that I'm supposed to have, and the reason for that, and I kind of just wanted to kind of, I guess, out myself today, is that I have too many arcs. This is the whole list of arcs that I am supposed to have on my plate right now in like multiple sticky notes so that I could do this video. And in case you're wondering, I am not supposed to have a free Monday. I'm supposed to have a review every Monday through the end of August. This is not a joke. Today I was supposed to have an arc of the latest Claire Legrand book. This is her adult romance called A Crown of Glass and Ivy, of Ivy and Glass, something like that, I think. I read the first page and I was not into it. And I think, honestly, I'm going to tell you guys the arcs that I have and the TBR that I have set for myself and the things that I really hope that I can read. But again, just going to have to be honest, when a book doesn't work for me, when I don't have the time, especially in the next month, because I have finals coming. So I just kind of going to give you guys a taste of what I have coming. And if anyone sees a book on this list and you're like, please, please, please review that one, so that maybe I know someone's looking forward to it and I don't skip it. So, whew, okay, here we go. So the book that I'm supposed to read for a review next week is The Boyfriend Candidate by Ashley Winstead. I am really excited about this one because I read and reviewed Ashley Winstead's a book of hers last year, and it was one of the most fascinating romances I think I've ever read. It was very like gray area, nuanced, interesting, and I'm still not sure how I feel about it. So this story it seemed a little bit more like a typical rom-com between opposites attract and like a fake relationship dating situation between a male politician and a female librarian. And basically they almost hook up, and then the press kind of gets wind to it and thinks they're together, and they decide to stay together for reasons. So I'm not going to get too in depth into any of these books because I have how many did I count? 18. I have 18 of them. But like I said, Ashley Winstead's last book was really, really interesting to me, and I'm just hoping that that level of writing holds true in this one. So the next book after that is the new Christina Lauren, True Love Experiment, and I'm very excited for this one. I have read a bunch of Christina Lauren books. I reviewed one of their latest ones, Something Wilder, last year, and that one was very interesting. This one is the story of a romance novelist and a documentary filmmaker. And they are like basically brought together to write a Hollywood script, but of course the book to movie slash like, you know, making a movie from a book adaptation thing seems to be very contentious between them. And the documentary filmmaker Connor is also a single father. So I'm not often a fan of romance novels that include children in them, for the sheer fact that the children are either just like written as like very two-dimensional, or they're used as props by the adults in the story. I don't really like that. So we'll see if this gets over that hump for me and is still a good book. So after that is a book, and I'm pretty sure I haven't even told you guys that I read the first 3 books in the series, but it's the final book in the Gilded Age Heiresses series by Harper St. George. This one is called The Duchess Takes a Husband. And like I said, there's 4 books in this series. It is a historical fiction romance situation. And this one is about a character who has showed up in all 3 of the previous books, and her character has definitely been complicated throughout those, and she basically is finally able to make a match on her own. She was previously in one that was very much not a love affair, and then a London rogue comes along. So I don't want to give you too many other details in case you want to read the rest of the series, but I read very little historical romance anymore, and this was a series that just really caught my attention, and I'm very excited to have this character finally get her happy ending. So the next book on this list is That Summer Feeling by Bridget Morrissey. I read one of Bridget Morrissey's books last year called 1,000 Miles. This was a second chance road trip novel, 1,000 Miles was. This one seems very, very different, but also similar, and so I'm kind of excited. So in this one, there is a divorced woman who is like trying to figure out herself after her divorce, and she goes to a sleepaway camp to try to like reconnect to her childhood and you know, nostalgia, and there she reconnects with a man from her past. However, that's odd enough in itself, but she starts to catch feelings for this guy's sister. So it's like a little bit second chance, but not, a little bit like going backwards in time, but not. I'm a really big fan of second chance romances and like, you know, going back and healing past trauma and figuring stuff out. And this looks really interesting, and I really loved 1,000 Miles, so I have high hopes for this one as well. So the book on the list after that for May is Double Decker Dreams by Lindsay McMillan. So this book is about American consultant Kat, who is on a 6-month project in London, and she meets this guy and he is an English aristocrat, and she's like, oh my gosh, this could be my Prince Charming. But then she finally starts to like, you know, actually hangs out with him and finds out that he is very different from what she expected. Not entirely certain if it's like good or bad, but it's called A Charming Modern Love Story on an Emotionally Resonant Roller Coaster Ride Through the Heart of London, which sounded good to me at the time. Now that I click on the Goodreads page, the ratings that are there right now are not very good. So yeah, last Monday of May, let's see if this review actually happens. So my first review of June is supposed to be Kate Bromley's new book, Ciao for Now. I reviewed a different Kate Bromley book last year or the year before, I can't remember, called Talk Bookish to Me, and it had one of the most unique endings of a romance novel that I've ever seen, because it tried to give the character like space and time to handle what had happened in the relationship. And normally romance novels are like, oh, let's just like wrap this all up with a bow, even though potentially the romantic leads have had like a really huge fight or whatever. I thought that was really, really interesting. So this one is a American interning at a fashion house in Rome who butts head with her professor's son. So it is enemies to lovers, opposite attract situation, also in Rome, and hence Ciao for Now. And like I said, I just, after reading the last Kate Bromley that I tried, and it being a little bit like rickety in the writing, but also very interesting, I'm very, very fascinated to see if this new book by the same author improves on the writing and keeps what I liked about the last one. So the book that I'm supposed to read after that in June is A Love Catastrophe, the new Helena Hunting. I have a hit or miss relationship with the Helena Hunting books. I'm still trying to get back to how much I loved Kiss My Cupcake, which was an enemies to lovers book of hers that I read a while ago that like didn't do that stupid thing at 75% of the way through. Like they just kind of like got through their struggles together, and I really liked that. It felt really refreshing. But I've also read some other books of hers that I found like problematic or I couldn't finish. So this one is also an opposites attract between a cheerful cat sitter and a grumpy hockey nerd. And I just really liked that the female main character here, her name is Kitty Hart, and she's become internet famous as the Kitty Whisperer, which is just, I just love it. The nerdy hockey player does not like cats, and I'm assuming that I will be incredibly invested in him coming to be very cute with cats. And yeah, like I said, hit or miss with Helena Hunting's books, but I am willing to try again. In the vein of me loving second chance romances, the next one on my list is Miss Match by Wendy Million. And yes, it's like Miss M-I-S-S, match, 2 words. And this one is about a woman who decides to go and use some matchmaking software, and the matchmaking software matches her up with the worst ex she's ever had. So it seems like a second chance romance. There is a dog on the cover, and I really, really like a second chance romance. So we'll see if this meets my expectations. So my last book that I'm supposed to read in June is Will They or Won't They by Ava Wilder. This one is about 2 co-stars with a complex history who reunite to film a final season of a beloved paranormal drama. And so basically it's like on screen they're in love, off screen they're not. And it really struck me as kind of similar to The Reunion, which is not a book by this author, but it is a book that I read recently and really enjoyed. And you may be sensing a theme that it's also just like a second chance romance, which I just really enjoy. And so I love having to watch people who just really despise each other, pretend to love each other, and then slowly fall back in love. So hopefully, like I said, it meets those expectations as well. So the first book that I'm supposed to read in July is You with a View by Jessica Joyce. This one is also kind of second chance. It's two high school enemies who reunite for a road trip inspired by their grandparents' broken engagement. It's a road trip. It's got the family history thing. It's got the frenemies to lovers with the past history. Last year I read a couple of road trip books, like 1,000 Miles by Bridget Morrissey, and I found that I really liked the genre. And so I saw this and I was like, oh, it's another second chancey like road trip. And so I'm kind of hype on it, and I hope that I do read it and that it is everything I want it to be. After that comes Play to Win by Jody Slaughter. This is another second chance romance, but also estranged husband and wife. So in this one, Miriam wins the lottery, and instead of that being really exciting, it ends up getting her back into contact with her husband, who she basically hasn't spoken to for 8 years. But obviously there's a lot of unresolved feelings, but now this money is involved, and so like, what is real, right? So I have not seen a lot of romance novels that involve people who are like already married, but when I have come across them, they've had like an extra level of interest to them, a little extra layer of complicated, and so I am interested to see if that one scratches that itch for me. So every once in a while I go like a total like off the rails kind of like, I used to read a lot more fantasy than I do now. So I decided to take a chance on The Curse of Saints by Kate Dramas. This is about a woman who is spy master to the queen of her realm and has a bitter rival in the form of Will, the queen's enforcer. But of course, to like save the kingdom, save the queen, they have to work together to defeat the dark magic. And it's billed as a fantasy romance, and I'm hoping it's heavy on the romance to help me like get that spark started, because I would really love to be able to enjoy a good fantasy again. So next up we have in July Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. This is another second chance romance about an ambitious wedding planner who has to work together with her grumpy ex, who is also a florist. And this one specifically says whose heart she broke. And I don't know what it is about second chance romances, but there is often a trend where the dude, if it's a hetero romance, the dude is the one doing the heartbreak and the woman is like trying to recover, but like secretly he wants her back. And what I found really interesting about this one is that it very explicitly stated that she did the heartbreaking, and that alone kind of felt a little different to me. I'm willing to take a chance on that. And apparently Julie Soto is a popular fanfic author. I don't know who she is, but I really like the idea and I'll take a chance on it. So the last book that I'm supposed to read in July is Sammy Espinosa's Last Review by Taylor K. Mejia. This was blurbed by Emily Henry, first of all, and I love Emily Henry stuff. So this story is about a music critic whose career is absolutely on fire, and in order to get some kind of like expose or get her career back on track, she decides to target her teenage crush. And he is also a musician trying to get his career on track from being also a dumpster fire. And so they're both kind of like trying to use the other person to get ahead, but also like feelings, right? So it sounds really good. I like the music aspect. It's been a while since I've read like a rocker romance, and I'm hoping that it is as awesome also as the cover is. You guys, I showed it already. I just love this cover. It's so color. Anyway. So the first book that I am supposed to read in August, I have so many books are actually slightly out of publication order, trying to like get them close to their publication date. But the first book I have on my list for August is Allie Carter's new adult book, The Blonde Identity. This just sounds absolutely ridiculous. So it's called a fast-paced, hilarious rom-com road trip about a woman with amnesia who discovers she's the identical twin sister of a rogue spy and must team up with a rugged, grumpy operative to stay alive. Now, I didn't read the Gallagher Girls when Allie Carter was like a really big deal in YA writing the Gallagher Girls, but I read that blurb and I was like, sold, give it to me. I hope that it meets my expectations, because I am expecting something really, really fantastic, to be honest. So after that, we have Codename Charming by Lucy Parker. This is technically the second book in what I guess is being called the Palace Insider series. The first book in this series is one that I reviewed last year called Battle Royal. And basically it was like a rom-com version of the Great British Bake Off, which I deeply enjoyed. It was very fun. And in this one, it brings back characters that I really love from that series for a fake dating relationship between the grumpy royal bodyguard and the sunny assistant. And I already know that I love these characters individually, and I can't wait to read their love story. Speaking of second books in series, August also is supposed to have a review for The Rebel King by Gina Maxwell. This is the second book in the Deviant Kings series. Did you know that was the title? So I read the first book in the series and reviewed it on the channel, The Dark King, and it's very much like BDSM meets the Holly Black fairy books, and it's just very dark romance, and I was really confounded by the way the last book ended. And I do like the brother that is supposed to be the main character of this one. I'm a little bit cautious because I'm confused by what the story was doing there at the end, which I can't tell you about because it would spoil it, but I don't know. I'm a little worried, but they're good fun, so we'll see. And then finally, rounding out these 18 insane books, for the end of August, I have The Witch is Back by Sophie Morgan. The reason that I decided to get this is because it is a second chance romance of former childhood sweethearts who are faking a relationship, but it is also a witchy rom-com. And the reason I'm a little worried is because right now I'm really batting 500 in this genre. I really like the X-Hex series written by Erin Sterling. I think those are really fun. But I also just tried Mr. and Mrs. Witch by Gwenda Bond, and I did not enjoy that at all. I typically like a contemporary romance. I'm falling out of love with historical romance, and paranormal romance is like really touch and go for me. So this cover looks really cute, and I love the second chance romance aspect of it. So we'll see where my batting average on this genre goes. So again, the point in making this review, was to have content today. Hi, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. But also to just, put this list out there, show you guys what's coming, maybe get you excited about a book you didn't know was coming out or something you want to put on your TBR, but also if there's a book on this list that you're really excited to hear about or you really think that I should read, please leave your vote down in the comments, and I will definitely take that into consideration when I'm sure in the throes of these 18 books. Like, I cannot possibly read 18 books, like one book every week for 18 weeks. It's not going to be possible, I don't think. So I don't want to miss one that someone is excited about. So let me know. And starting next Monday, let's see how this goes. And then eventually I'll do other content in September. We're all on this crazy journey together, guys. Thanks. Bye.